All right. Come up a little bit, Miss Love. Let me say, there you go.
Nashville.
Get your record, bro. I don't hear it now, though.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you're right when you ready to talk.
I'm not gonna worry about this.
Bring this computer down.
Yeah, when you ready to talk.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to? I'm supposed to be.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Yolanda and Cornelius show. I am your host, Cornelius. One of your hosts, Yolanda, of course, gives me the liberty every now and then to come into the studio to be a blessing live. And y'all, I am so excited and elated. Welcome to our YouTube audience who's joining us by way of YouTube. And we was trying to get Facebook set up. We're going to get that as well. Miss Antoinette. Oh, yes, I love to say the name. I love to say the name. Miss Antoinette Jenkins, a realtor, a mother, a business lady, an entrepreneur. Just all of that in a bag of chips. And I'm grateful that y'all have joined into the Yolanda and Cornelius show. And let me throw this in the gumbo. For those in Louisiana and Texas, let me throw this in the chili and the stew for those of us from the South. She's a Fiskite, y'all. Yes, she's a Fiskite. So, hey, go Bulldogs. We have one that's here to help us understand wealth.
Yes.
You know, I want you to prosper and be in good health as your soul prospers. Talked about, you being a realtor. We'll talk about that, but we need to talk about being a mother and now a lady that have some tenure, let's say that, in living. Yes, we don't want to give her age, has some tenure. Talk to us, first of all, about your experience and transition in your corporate world. When we first met, I met you and I'll get into how we met. But you was working at Xerox, I think you told me?
I was working at Xerox Corporation.
Good.
So I started my corporate life at Xerox Corporation, and I was with Xerox for 20 years. And I matriculated up from different positions, a trainer, an analyst, to the one of 3 global project managers in the company. So I was helping facilitate at least $10 million.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear? And we're not wearing our headphones. So we can hear each other well. $10 million. At least 10 million. You was facilitating that.
I was facilitating the implementation of the devices and the technology perspective. So I was working 90 hours a week. And I would, people are like, oh, yay, you can work from home. I think we're all understanding working from home is not what it may seem to be. So I would go up into the bonus room, which was my office, at 6:00 a.m. because I had to communicate with the United Kingdom.
Okay.
And then I would not come down until midnight.
Okay.
So my children decided it was time for me to get another job.
Okay.
Long story, I was coming home from church one day and I said, I was having a conversation with God and I said, you know what, Lord, I'm a little bit upset with you.
Okay.
I said,
so, hold on. And we know her friends are listening. We'll plug them in. Hopefully y'all will call in 615-242-7760. $10 million. And I'm mad at God. That don't make sense to me. That just doesn't make sense to me, y'all. $10 million. Nothing you made it, but to oversee it means you got a percentage.
Well, I got a salary, yes.
Yes, but
I wasn't mad at the money I was making, not at all.
Okay.
But it's not always about money.
It's not.
Money does not bring happiness.
Okay, it doesn't.
It makes it easier, but it doesn't bring happiness. So I was like, Lord, this is not my portion, and he dropped it in my spirit and said, you're going to become a realtor. And I'm like, because people are funny with their money, and no, 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 no. And he just brought people in my life to speak it. And like, yeah, you'll be a great realtor. You'll be a great realtor. So after 20 years of working in corporate America, I quit.
Literally.
Literally.
Now, this ain't making sense to me. This ain't making sense to me at all, but what God does sometimes doesn't make sense.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
It's not
So
logical for us.
He prepared me. Don't get me wrong. I didn't just say quit, but I went ahead and went and got my license for real. I went to the classes, got my license, got into a firm. So I prepared myself, and then I pulled the trigger and quit. And I have been super excited. I've been a realtor for almost 4.5 years.
Almost 4.5 years.
Yes. So I've had the privilege and the pleasure to work with so many of God's beautiful people.
Okay.
And helping them to build their kingdom.
Okay.
Because it's about kingdomship.
Yeah.
We're heirs and joint heirs
with Jesus Christ. You know, I know. I love it. I'm trying to set us up for Facebook now so folks can see how wonderful presented you are and put together. You know, it is.
I am fabulous.
That's right. We have listen, a realtor, a mother, once was a wife. We might talk about that in a few. You know, a widow, and God has still graced you to do what you do, and you're doing it well. But let me throw it in. People, y'all was like, how did Hill meet her? Well, I was leaving the radio station one day, y'all, and we went out to eat, and while we were eating, this businesswoman walked in. I'm like, who was that? On the phone, sat down. You didn't even stop talking on the phone at whole lunch, I don't think.
I did.
Did you? Mm-hmm. I said, Ron, Larry, that woman over there is about business. I said, at some point, I need to get her number before I leave because there's a connection. There's a connectivity, and I need to make sure I connect with her. And it happened. Like, it happened. And I'm so grateful that it did the way it did because, you know, you can share how you were directed somewhere else in your natural self. Mm-hmm. But the Lord told you to be at Bricktops.
So I was on my way to Zeke's, which is across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And some said, no, go to Bricktop. I'm like, no, I don't feel like spending $40 on a sandwich today. I'm just going to go here to Zeke's and get a sandwich. And some said, no, not something. The Spirit said, go to Bricktop.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, okay. I went to Bricktop and I sat down and we started a conversation. Right. We started a conversation, and then you were so sweet, and I didn't have to pay $40 because you brought me lunch that day, and I was so appreciative. But I was led there. It wasn't, I'm not. So you have to be obedient.
Okay.
You know, the Spirit spoke to me and said, do this, and I did not want to do it. Mm-hmm. But I did it anyway. Not that I didn't want it, not that I didn't have it. It was simply I had my mind set on something else.
Totally different. Right. And it's life. Speaking of mindset being on something else, help me with money, help me with wealth, help me pay my student loans that I'm still paying on. Yes. After 20 years of leaving I have other degrees and matriculated, but when we get into the nook and cranny of the African American experience in America, we understand poverty.
And we shouldn't, because that's not our portion.
Right, but we understand it.
Yeah.
It was dealt to us, through some other means and mechanisms. But now help me understand why I need a house, why I need good credit, why I might not need red bottoms right now, and I might not need an iPhone 12 or 11 and just stick with my 7 and start saving money, because for some reason in some communities, and this is probably all communities, the individual and money don't have a good experience. They don't stay together long. Can I say that?
Yeah.
They don't stay together long. So help me unpack that for me. And hey, I'm Shoma for watching. Help us.
It's because it's generational wealth.
Okay, generational wealth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
we are king's kids. Therefore, there's promises that are ours that we don't take full advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is prosperity.
Okay.
Okay. So we do go to college,
Mm-hmm.
and when we come out, we thousands of dollars in debt.
Mm-hmm.
Student
Yeah.
loans is the number one reason someone cannot purchase a home,
Right.
because that is you have to pay it back. So it's part of your debt, and it increases your income to debt ratio.
Okay.
You can be making good money.
Mm-hmm.
You can afford $1,600 in rent. That's average for Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh Lord Jesus. Not
you
for
know.
me. The Lord has me and I'm grateful.
Yes.
And not to cut you out, but people don't realize it. Living in Nashville is expensive, and what used to be is not anymore.
That's true.
And when you say 16, people say I'm paying $12, $13 for rent. I'm like, what? When I purchased my first home, it wasn't that much.
Exactly.
But I'm grateful that I'm a home buyer and owner, because when I sit down with people like you and you begin to pull my credit, you see a pretty number. You see a number that's all right. That's it. There, you see a number that's okay. Well, but as opposed to an individual whose credit's 500, 600, and they're trying to purchase, they have no purchasing power.
None.
But they have 7 pair of Jordans, 6 iPhones, 2 Androids. When you add all of that up, you have $13, $15, $23,000 worth of stuff
that does not appreciate.
Right. So, but help rescue me from that mentality if you can, because I need to be rescued, and I need to understand that this conversation needs to be going on in communities of all colors and creeds, so we understand what it means to have purchasing power. When I buy a home, what am I getting into? Why I should not be signing every document as a college student just so I can go to Atlanta, just so I can go to spring break when we was traveling to Miami's and all of these places. And now we're paying that stuff back. And people don't realize debt to income ratios.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, first and foremost, one of the reasons why I became a realtor, in addition to the Lord that putting that in my spirit, but He also told me, you're going to help my people realize their kingdomship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what He was saying was, when you own a home, you have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a voice if you rent, because you can't make any changes to that property without the owner's approval.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a say if you was to go down into some communities and meetings and say, well, this is how I feel. Yeah, you can say how you feel, but your voice is not as strong because you don't own anything.
Mm.
And what are you gonna leave back when you transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no, 75%. Don't quote me on the percentage of Black Americans do not have a will.
75%.
I would say.
Possibly. Okay.
I would say. Why is that? Because we don't feel like we have anything to leave behind.
Wow.
We don't feel like we have anything to say.
Uh-huh.
So owning a home means, hey, I got something I'm going to leave behind. I have a say. I have a voice that speaks. This is my kingdom. I'm starting a legacy for my children's children. We was having a conversation. I didn't tell you this, but I have this mirror. The mirror is older than I am. It was my grandmother's mirror.
Okay.
And when my grandmother passed, that was the one thing that they said, okay, what is it that you want? I was like, I want that mirror.
Right. That's what we usually do.
My aunties was like, no, don't take the mirror. I'm like, even my mother wanted the mirror. This mirror is so heavy. I mean, it's antique. Well, working for Xerox, I've relocated from different cities, and I didn't purchase. I rented at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not put the mirror up in the rental property And my mom asked me, well, why won't you put the mirror up? I said, because that mirror is only going to go into a house that I own.
Wow. You had made up in your mind that the mirror was only going to go into something that I own. Did y'all hear that? That the mirror was only going to go into something that I own.
It meant too much to me to let it sit in a borrowed place.
Ooh, now that's a word right there, y'all. Did y'all hear that? I'm not gonna take something valuable to me and let it sit in a borrowed place. Woo! Now hey, we ain't trying to preach, but let's pause. Let's pause and pay some bills. This show is brought to you by Forever Zion, www.foreverzion.com. Paparazzi jewelry for your boo, your bae, your significant, your subordinate, your superior, your neighbor. Go to www.foreverzion.com. This show is brought to you by Walker's Cafe and Grill, 109 UN Drive from 12 to 5, Walker's Cafe and Grill. This show is brought to you by the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church, 1506 22nd Avenue North, Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. Follow us on all of our social media handles. This show is brought to you by Trifold Outreach Ministry, Dry Creek Road, 49 Dry Creek Road, Goodlettsville, Tennessee, on the second and fourth Sunday. But right now, we are meeting by Zoom. We are grateful for our wonderful sponsors. Now, let me, Facebook, did y'all hear that? She said, I was not going to let something valuable sit in a borrowed place. Girl, that's a word. 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 Brooks, I think I got Dr. Brooks, from Georgia on. Greg Matthews is on. Brazelton is on. Talk to me about the value of the mirror. I know it was grannies, big mamas. I think I got the pot. We all took something.
Yeah.
But it meant that much to you.
Yeah.
In that particular space.
Yes.
To say, this will not go into anything that I do not own.
Yes. Yes. I won't even let nobody clean it but me. Because when I look at the mirror, I recognize my grandmother. I recognize her instilling in me that it's okay to have something to call your own and take care of it. I think that's what this generation is missing.
Okay.
They don't recognize. It's always about having it right now.
Okay.
Every
instant
microwave mentality, as they call it. Every year you got to have a new iPhone, or you got to have a new cell phone, or every year is something. But when you take something of value and you make sure you take care of it and it lasts for generations to come.
Wealth.
That's what, it's not being rich, it's being wealthy.
Something of value that can last for generations.
Yes.
Did y'all get that, Facebook? Something of value that can last for generations. And Deacon Matthew said, she said a word right there. She said a word. Somebody wants to be in my live. I can't let you in my live because I'm doing a live, y'all. But anyway, wealth is something of value that lasts generations.
Yeah.
Put me on this roadmap to wealth. If I sit down with you today, which I am, hypothetically, I have a credit score, let's say of 700, but I just don't know. I love stuff, but I don't love wealth. Help shift my thinking to get me to a place where I need to stop consuming and start getting to the place where you need to appreciate wealth and what you need to leave, the legacy that's needed for the next, and the next.
And that's awesome. That's so you first have to start by knowing it's not going to happen overnight.
Okay.
No
lottery.
No lottery.
This just be realistic, huh?
And even if you was to win the lottery,
okay,
you still have to have a wealth mindset, and that is you cannot go out and spend more than you make, and you need to save. if something was to happen, you need to be able to pull it out of your savings account and not out of your credit cards, right? So that's first. You gotta save. You gotta know that it's a journey. Two, you gotta save. Three, you have to discipline yourself. You have to budget and discipline yourself. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I like red bottoms, and guess what? I'll have them too. But at the right time.
At the right time.
At the right time.
At the right time.
So, I tell a lot of I have several clients who I've worked with for years. Right? They make good money, stable employment. They can afford to purchase a home and pay the monthly note, but they may not have the credit score, right? Or they may not have savings,
right?
And typically those two things hinder people, and also what we talked about, student loans. Those are the three main things
that hinder us from building wealth. Student loans, credit card, and what else?
Their credit score is not high.
Okay.
Which is tied directly to credit cards.
Right. But I need to build credit. So how do I build credit without having a credit card? What's the safest?
You can have a credit card. You just, when lenders look at your income to debt ratio, okay, they say, well, one, you do need to have a credit card. Not having a credit card is not good. That goes along with bad credit. So you do need a credit card because you need to be able to prove to them that you are responsible with credit. So typically you should not have more than, your purchased limit should not be more than 30% of your max limit. So $100 is your max limit. You should not owe more than $30 on it.
Gotcha.
Okay. And yes, you need to pay it on time. And a lot of people don't realize that you can pay your credit cards. You have a 25-day grace period without having to pay interest on it.
25 days?
25 days.
So that means I know how to say it. I'm not trying to say it because somebody might misinterpret what I'm saying. It's like, oh no. But we have a 25-day grace period.
Yeah. But you have to read that fine print that you don't want to read. You have to read that. And that will tell you, because it may vary from credit card company to credit card company. So on average, 25 days, maybe 21 days. But you have a grace period that if you pay off what you just purchased, you do not have to pay interest on that. You have a grace period.
Gotcha.
Okay. So yes, you do need some credit. And sometimes a lot of people come to me and say, well, Miss Antoinette, I'm going to pay off all my credit cards. I go, oh, don't do that.
Why?
Because it's about a history. It's about a paper trail. It's about understanding trends that you're making. Okay. So, or I haven't had this credit card. I haven't paid on it in a while, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and pay for it. The one thing I tell them is, don't do anything until you talk to the lender and let the lender tell you exactly what you need to do. I'm just a realtor. I'm not a lender. I can guide you to a good lender, and the lender is going to give you the things that you need. But if you're wanting to purchase a home, one, you need to save some money. Two, you need to budget. And you need to then talk with a lender or talk with me, and I would direct you to the right person who can give you steps you can take to increase your credit score.
Which gives us purchasing power.
Which gives us
not so much purchasing.
The credit score helps your interest rate.
Okay.
The interest rate is that in addition. You pay on your principal, but then you pay the interest. That's the cost of having a mortgage.
Gotcha.
Which interest rates are still relatively low right now.
When you say low, what are we saying? What based upon credit score, possibly?
Well, the government sets the tone of the interest rate. So when I say low, compared to, and again, I'm not a lender, but if you was to go to your bank, they may say that the interest rate is in the 400s, which is relatively good because a couple of years ago, 6 to 7.
Yeah, I remember.
Right. But what people don't realize is whenever you have low interest rates, the economy is not in a good position.
Okay.
when your interest rates
But it's
are
good for
higher.
somebody.
Yes.
Somebody's making dollars off these low end. Yes.
The buyer, the consumer who's purchasing a home, yes. Yes, but the economy in a whole, if the interest rates are higher, that means the economy can sustain more.
Y'all hear that? When the interest rates are higher, the economy can sustain more. Okay.
The
Okay.
economy is better when interest rates are higher.
Okay. I got
Mhm.
that. See, you on the dip. You on. I sit on one side of the desk and I sign papers. She sit on the other side of the desk and shove papers. So it's about what side of the desk you said, oh, See, I'm on the side where I got to do the signing. She's on the side where she does the shoving. So she could say that. But I mean, even in all of the discussion we've had today, I need people to understand, okay, number one, don't rush to pay off all your credit cards. Correct?
Correct.
We need we need a paper trail.
What you need is to pay them on time and more than the monthly rate, or more than the monthly payment.
Okay.
So you cannot be late with your credit card bills.
Mm-hmm.
You need to pay them on time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to maintain a balance that is 30, at least no more than 30% of the max limit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Look, y'all, we not out of time. We almost out of time. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to get more personal now, because if you are about to buy or know somebody that's buying, we need to talk about the professional person as well. How do we get in contact with the diva? How do we get in contact with the diva? Because people might want to see a face that looks like theirs, and that's not anti anybody else.
I love all that.
We love all of God's people. So if I had some individuals who need a home buyers class, ready to purchase, what do we get? What services do you offer?
I do home buyers classes typically in the summertime.
Okay.
They are free.
Okay.
And I have myself as well as a lender and an insurance person.
Mm-hmm.
And we come and we talk about the steps
Mm-hmm.
to purchasing a home, the steps in getting financing, and then how to protect it. Okay. So I typically will announce that when I'm having the classes and where they are, social media, email, call out, and phone. But if you really just want to get in touch with me, you can simply just call me at 615-930-7234. That's my cell phone number. Or you can send me an email at ajenkinslistens@gmail.com.
At gmail.com, because we want to get to you said interest rates in the 400s, which
They're low, but your credit score is going to determine what interest rate you get.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm like on the pool table, that last one you hit. Mm-hmm. That's me. That's what they call me, pool table. That's what you call me. But I wish we had more time to talk, but we out of time, because I need people to realize and understand that you gotta leave wealth to the next.
Yes.
You can't live for yourself. You gotta leave something. And the illustration that you have given about your grandmother's mirror was priceless. Like that was a sermon teaser starter point. That was awesome. That you value something so much that you was not going to even unwrap it and put it in something that you did not own. That's interesting. That's interesting. That is awesome. That is awesome. We have a caller. Caller, are you there?
How you doing?
We're doing good.
I was trying to get her phone number one more time.
Oh, awesome. It's 615-930-7234.
Well, okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
No, I just got a whole lot of investigation.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, for calling in to the Yak, the Yolanda and Cornelia show. Well, folks, we almost out of time. No, we actually out of time. We thank Miss Antoinette for being with us today. We thank the caller for calling in. We know we're going to bring her back, Ron, probably on Monday for a quick 15-minute hit to to cause her business. Well, listen, y'all, I'm out of time. I'm out of talk, but I'm really not out of talk. I need to give y'all this one little tidbit for the Yolanda and Cornelius show, and we're out of here. I'm trying, Orlando, to find this Cash App, $ trifold. If you want to be a Patreon, or you want to get your name on the old, what was it, church bulletin, go to $ trifold to be a monthly endower. Let's call you that. How about that? Well, listen, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to the Yak, the Yolanda and Cornelius show.
Good job. Good to see you. And I need to get in one of the cars.
Let me switch this.
Go ahead.
But I'll be here Monday.
Okay.
You know, we did have a place that we were on, they were able, so the first time around.
You have